Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 19, overall 349 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210. or email them at info@barrycullen.com as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern Talk and Sports, the heartbeat of Atlanta. I hope everyone's doing well on this Thursday, December 28th, 2023. This is my last show of the year and my 349th episode overall. And I'm looking forward to having another lacrosse show today and a guest. And this is his second time on Live with CDP Sports Talk. And his name is Adam Levi. He is the National Lacrosse League writer and reporter and the host of the Lacrosse Matrix podcast. And we're going to bring Adam on now. And we're just going to talk about the 23-24 lacrosse season and maybe just a little bit about last year's Buffalo Bandits championship over Colorado as well. Good afternoon, Adam. How you doing?
I'm really good, Chris. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And it's good to be back with you. A lot has changed since the last time we spoke.
Absolutely. Hey, I just want to wish you a merry belated Christmas to you and your family and a happy new year as well going into 2024, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, well, the new year always brings new challenges, but Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you and the family as well. And I hope you've been enjoying it. I know it's been a fun one here with the entire family together, especially now living in New York City. So it's nice to join you.
So you're in New York permanently now then?
Yes. Well,
okay.
I can never say permanently, but I can say that we're here for the foreseeable future. It's where I was born and raised in New York City, and my parents are here. And yeah, so that's can you just hold on one sec? I actually have a special guest for you.
Okay, no problem. And I just want to say thank you to Adam for coming on here today. And I don't think he's believed to be related to Marv Levy, the former head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Oh, hey, pal. How you doing?
So
what is his name?
This is Preston. You might see him doing the Preston's picks. So he just woke up from his nap and came searching for me. So now he's here, and you'll actually see his Preston's picks. He's doing them every week, picking who he thinks is going to win every weekend. He's been doing pretty good so far. So as I was saying, been in New York now only for 2 months, but I was born and raised here. My parents still live here. And now this is our new home, or new rehome, I guess, since we're back where things started.
New York City is one of my favorite cities. I've been there a couple times, and I didn't get much sleep there because there's so much to do there. And Madison Square Garden's awesome. Yankee Stadium's awesome. And it's just a terrific city. And Vancouver is another city I want to get out to at some point as well, because I've never been out to Western Canada. But I think that's great that you're back in New York. How's the weather there? It must be like here right now. It's just mild and raining almost every day.
That has been it, and I'll take it. I remember those brutal winters in New York City, and boy, were they tough. So I'm pretty thankful, and I can say my wife is thankful too. She's from British Columbia, and although she did spend many years in Prince George, a small town up north in BC where it was very, very cold, she was getting used to the milder winters of Vancouver. So not having to be thrust into the harsh winters of New York City has been a welcomed welcome thing for us here.
Hey, and your team is going to be on the TSN game of the week this Saturday at 4 o'clock. The New York Riptide against those Toronto Rock in Hamilton with Pat Gregor and John Abbott and Ashley Docking. Bye, Preston. But I want to get his picks before we end this show. I have to
Of
get
course.
his picks. Definitely. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. And I was at the Bandits home opener a couple weeks ago against San Diego. I'm going to be doing some more media work for them. And it was just tremendous. Almost 18,000 people in Bandit Land. And I've been to a lot of sporting events. And Bandit Land might not be the biggest crowd, but they are loud and passionate.
Oh, they're incredible. And I am very, very happy being on the East Coast. Being in Vancouver, I could really only go to Vancouver games. It was just so exhausting to potentially travel to places like Calgary, San Diego. That's a bit of a haul, but getting to be able to be close to the Riptide, to the Wings, to the Firewolves, to the Nighthawks, and to the Bandits, of course. Very excited for that. And I'll actually be in Bandit Land on the 19th of January for Tucker Out Lymphoma Night. My first time in Bandit Land, and I know that is such a special, special night, and I expect an equal crowd, a sellout for sure. So I cannot wait for my first Bandit Land experience.
My next game is January 6th against Colorado, but if the weather is good from Guelph to Buffalo, I might try to come out for that 19th game because it would be nice to meet you in person as well. And I just had one of the new guys on the Buffalo Bandits radio broadcasts, not new guys, but taking over for Randy Mearns, Steve Burmo on my show, and what a great guy. And we ended up talking for about 90 minutes the other day.
Steve is an absolute gem, one of the best guys in the business. So kind, so genuine, so helpful, really an incredible man, and really excited for him to be taking over that announcing position. So knowledgeable about the game. So yeah, it's amazing that you got so much time to talk with him, and yeah, he's just an overall great guy.
And I had John Gerkler on recently and Pat Gregor as well. So this league has been really great. I do some media work for the Canadian Football League, the Toronto Argonauts, and I see so many similarities between both leagues, not just the 18-game series, but the 18-game seasons, but the way they're giving me opportunities. And I'm getting on-hands training, interviewing players and coaches, and speaking to John Tavares and having him answer my questions. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and Coach Tavares is an awesome guy. I have to say, so I was in Albany, and I know you wanted to talk a lot about the Bandits, and I was in Albany for that. I guess from your guys' perspective, it was a very unfortunate loss to the Albany Firewolves in what was it, week 1 or week 2?
Yes, week 1.
And, yeah, and it was a wild game. I really liked MVP Arena. Now, for what it is and for the city of Albany, it's obviously very different than Buffalo. And but the fans were excited. The team was very exciting to watch. The Albany is a really good team this year. And, I can tell you that when I was outside of the press room and around the team, I saw the Bandits walk to the locker room. And, I've been in some situations where I've seen players who seem pretty disappointed and some coaches that are disappointed. And, seeing that team, the way that they looked coming off the floor, I really felt like, and I think I even said this to GM Steve Diedrich, I was like, I don't think anyone would be surprised after the way that it seemed like they felt if they won the next 17 games. That is not Bandit culture to have a shocking loss like that. It's very rare for them to let up 17 goals. And there's some reasons for that, and we'll get into it. But I think that what we saw in the second half of that Seals game was really more indicative of what we expect from the Bandits. And they're going to be another strong team and another contender towards the very end once we get to the playoffs, I believe.
And the Bandits last year lost their home opener and season opener to that same Albany team. And Albany is a good club, and they do match up well with the Bandits. And now having these unified standings and no more divisions, every game is going to mean even more now, Adam.
Yeah, and so it's interesting, and I know that Teddy Jenner, and I'm going to kind of piggyback off his burning take, his warrior burning take with the NLL this week, where people were giving some pushback about how will this change things for the Bandits, and how will this change things for the Rock with the unified standings. And I think what I would just say to that is that because a lot of people, I think, or some people at least, were jumping on saying, well, this benefits the Rock, so of course now that they might not, there's no East pipeline to get to the finals, that'll make it easier for the Rock. And what I would say is that if these two teams finish where everyone expects them to finish, there is every reason to believe that they would still face each other in the playoffs. It's not like they're not going to face each other. If they're the 2 and the 3 seed or the 1 and the 4 seed and they beat who they're supposed to beat, well, they'll just end up playing each other. So it'll still be the same outcome in the postseason. In terms of maybe how many wins they come out with at the end, I think that that might change a little bit. But I still think Buffalo and Toronto are just going to be right there at the end. And but I will say I love the unified standings from a fan standpoint, because it just means that the fans get to see more NLL stars on a more regular basis, which is the best way to grow the game and show off the amazing talent that's throughout the National Lacrosse League.
Absolutely. Now, the playoff format, Adam, is it still going to be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, etc.? And the first round still going to be the best of 1, and then best of 3 for the next second and the third round?
So to the first part of that question, yes, that's how it's going to be, 1 to 8, much more like a regular NBA or NHL kind of playoffs. And then as for format, I don't think it has been formally announced yet, and probably won't be formally announced for many months. But I believe that it would be a similar format for the playoffs, the one kind of that wild card match, and then the 2 and 2.
Okay.
But
I'm
hold me on that. We'll find out about that as the months go on.
I'm hoping the NL finals eventually go to a best of 5. I know it's not a best of 1, it's a best of 3, but to me, I would love to see it as a fan go to at least a best of 5. And I think it would make more money for the league as well with the TV stuff and more gates. So I'm hoping in the future the league can look at going to a best of 5 at NLL finals.
Well, it is interesting, and it is there's a tightrope that needs to be walked here with the NLL and, of course, the PLL. There's all these questions of, do these two leagues work together to grow the game? Are they going to be competing forces? How is that going to work? But, I think the NLL understands that there are guys that are getting a paycheck from somewhere else, and that it means that they need to be accommodating to those players. And so I don't know if you noticed this, Chris, but the regular season actually ends a week earlier this year than it did last year, which means the playoffs will start a week earlier, which means that the NLL finals will end a week earlier. So that means that those players who are on, let's say, the Bandits or whoever makes the finals, they won't have to sacrifice maybe missing time in the PLL.
Okay. That's definitely good. And I have a viewer and one of my friends on, and I've had him on my show as well. His name is Patrick Bernard, and he covers the Philadelphia Wings. And he just wants to say, what's up, fellows? My guys, Chris, and my friend Adam. And he's taken a liking to the game of lacrosse in Philadelphia as well. And I think it's a great sport, and I think it'll do well in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a great sports town.
I actually met Patrick when I was at the Wings game the other week, and it was great to get to know him. And you're right, he's doing great things for Wings Lacrosse, and it's really good to see how there's so many different types of media that are covering the Philadelphia region in box lacrosse. And same can be said in Buffalo. You know that there's other shows out there that are covering the Bandits, and hopefully one day you get every market having as many media sources for NLL action as they do in Philadelphia and Buffalo. So Patrick's a great guy, and I'm going to get to see him not this weekend, but next weekend. I'll be in Albany again, and then the next day I'm going down to Philadelphia as well, so I'll be back there.
I would like to try to do some other road games. I love doing the Buffalo Bandit games, but I would like to do one in Albany and one in Philadelphia. I've been to one in Hamilton, and that experience was great too. But I kind of would like to try to cover a little bit more of the league as well. And right now, this direction of this league is going well, in my opinion.
Yeah, it 100% is. And first of all, let me just say, so no Rochester games for you?
Actually, I wouldn't mind doing that. Rochester's only about 3 hours from where I'm in Guelph. I believe it's what, an hour on the I-90 past Buffalo. So yeah, actually, I would like to do a Rochester game this year as well. I'll just have to speak to I'm going to have to speak to someone from the league because I know with the Buffalo Bandits, I have a contact person with them. So for the other teams, I'll have to get a list of who I should email for that.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe off air I can try and help you with that. I've got tons of contacts and information that could probably be helpful to you. So we'll definitely connect on that. But yeah, definitely go to some road games. This year I made it my mission, being on the East Coast, to try and go to as many games as possible. And I think by the end of things, I'll be at 26 games that I would have gone to by the end of the regular season. That doesn't even include the playoffs. So it's busy weekends, busy times here.
Absolutely. And Patrick's just saying, I owe you both a cheesesteak, and I'll take you up on that, Patrick, and a beer with it too as well. So definitely, thank you, Patrick, for watching. And I had him on my show about 6 weeks ago, and we talked Phillies, we talked Eagles, and we talked a little bit about the Wings. But yeah, this has been great this week having you and Steve on, and I've had Pat Gregor on 8 times, and John Gerkler has been great as well, been on my show a couple times. This league is really, really great with the media, and it's really a fan driven league in my opinion.
Oh, it's amazing, and there's some incredible fans around the league. To see the amount of Buffalo fans that showed up in Albany for that game, and not only showing up, but completely dressed up, jerseys, necklaces, cool costumes, so loud, so passionate. When a team's fans can travel like the Bandits fans do, I mean, that kind of sixth man, I guess you would call it, or I think it really bodes well for those teams. And it's just so cool to see that. And as you know, and as we've talked about in Bandit Land, those fans are some of the best. And having those people be as passionate as they are and show their support in every way possible, it's amazing.
And winning helps too. And the Bandits, who've been around since 1992, have won 5 championships, and they've been consistent pretty well for most of their existence. And I wanted to ask you this, Adam, since I've got you on for another 10 minutes.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts on the coaching job last year by John Tavares? And in all terms of all time great Bandits teams and their previous championship teams, where does this one rank?
Well, think about this for a second. So I mean, if you look at what he's done since he's been the sole head coach there, you're looking at 3 consecutive 14-4 seasons. Now, of course, some people will say, well, look who he had on the team. He had Steve Priolo, Matt Vince, Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, and so many others. The Tahoka, I really could list the entire roster. Everyone's just so talented. But it does take a guy who not only knows the game so well, but he's very opinionated, very vocal, very involved on the bench. He doesn't just sit back. He knows how to deal with the tough situations, which is incredibly crucial come playoff time. He's a very smart guy. I would say that he takes the game and everything about it very seriously, and you saw that when he was a player. So for him to carry that over into his head coaching job, I think has been amazing. I think I don't know if you know this, but I had tweeted it out on my Twitter at Adam Levy NLL that he was actually the fastest head coach in NLL history to reach 50 wins. So more history for him. And then over the summer, he became one of the few coaches in lacrosse history to win a Man Cup and an NLL Cup in the same year. So, I mean, what can't he do? People say that in jest sometimes to pay respect, but seriously, what can't John Tavares do? I don't know.
And when I did my first Bandits game there 2 years ago, I was really intimidated by him. But then I finally asked him a question, and he answered it. And then last year, I went to a couple of games where they lost, and I said to John, "I guess I'm unlucky." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't know if they want you here anymore." And then when I went to the NL Finals, they won. I said, "Hey, John, I brought you good luck today," and he remembered me. So I
Yeah.
feel more at ease with him because when you're new in the media industry, like myself, it was kind of intimidating trying to approach someone like him because he's like a Wayne Gretzky or Tom Brady of that sport.
Yeah. And I will say, that's the case well, I don't want to say for every coach, but for almost every coach in the NLL, especially if it's a tough loss. they're not going to have a lot to say. Some teams have it where it's kind of like a little bit more required, I guess, so to speak, where the coach has to speak with the media. But there are teams that don't necessarily force that upon the coach, especially if there's things that need to be urgently worked out within the locker room or spoken about, or things are need to be addressed quite immediately. So I understand that totally, and I had that experience not only in week one, but when I got to see him throughout the Man Cup over the summer, it was very much like, okay, I got my head down. That's how business is. But when they won the Man Cup, it was, hey, do you need anything? Thank you so much, and all those things. And for me as a reporter, I know many people, they want to be like, oh my God, this is the moment. This is where I can talk to him. I don't necessarily do that. I've developed relationships with these guys over a long period of time, and I understand how much these moments mean to them. And so for me, when he won the Man Cup, I think he expected me to ask him a lot of questions. And I just said, coach, you've earned this. You've earned this time with the guys, and we'll talk another time. And so it's just understanding, the environment. It's understanding the situation, and it's being able to, do things that, might not always be in your best interest, but, building a trust and a respect with them goes a long way.
Absolutely. And at the last game, Bud Bailey, who covers the Bandits and does a great job, and he's a friend of mine, wasn't there. So at the end of the game, one of the Bandits management came up to me. It's like, who do you want to speak to? And I'm like, doesn't Bud usually do that? And they're like, no, Chris, let us know tonight. So I decided to pick Josh Byrne and Dane Smith and John Tavares. And I was like, wow. And one guy goes, that's because, Chris, you're here often and they're noticing your work. And it really felt nice to be able to talk to Dane Smith, and who's from Kitchener, Ontario, not far from me, and Josh Byrne. Dane Smith, I compared him to a hockey player with Steve the other day, and I said he reminds me of Mario Lemieux. He has the ability to score tons of goals, but I think he loves being a facilitator, getting those assists and making those around him a better player.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of those guys, and the best guys in the league are this way. They want to help their team in whichever way that they can. I just did a feature piece that's going to go up probably today or tomorrow on Ryan Benesh of the Halifax Thunderbirds, and he's on the top 10 lists of pretty much everything offensively. And he just kept saying, I just love my guys. I love helping my teammates, and if that means scoring, if that means passing, I'll do what I have to do. But you look at these stats for the season. Excuse me, for Dane Smith. He's got 1 goal, but 12 assists. But sure, if he goes out there and has to score for whatever reason, let's say Josh isn't finding the back of the net, which right now he is. He's got 6 goals through a couple games so far. Dane can definitely step up and do that. So he's really a do-it-all kind of guy, a generational type of talent. And he's been so special, and to see him still producing year after year at the level that he is, which is really, and again, sometimes we say this hyperbolically, but at a historic rate, it's really, we need to appreciate what we're seeing out of Dane Smith.
Absolutely. And then you got so many great players on that team: Matt Vince, Josh Burns, Chris Kluche. They have so much depth on there. I know, Adam, we are a little bit short for time. So this next question, I wanted to get to you before we cut this in a few minutes. I had to ask you this, but can you tell my audience about the National Lacrosse League's On Box series and how this came about?
Yeah, so it's a project that was really spearheaded by Kurt Hunzinger with the NLL, an amazing project to grow the game in some communities that have had NLL in the past, and some that are new in areas that the league wants to expand. And it's all about growing the game, and we've seen this at pretty much every level, box, field, wherever, where with this Olympic push, we're trying to expand people playing lacrosse, and the NLL is doing that through this youth initiative with Unboxed, and giving opportunities in these communities for more people to get sticks in their hands and experience by doing that. And it's been an amazing initiative. And I think that the way that it was rolled out with those incredible logos that were so fun and engaging was super cool. But yeah, it's been an amazing initiative for the NLL. Excuse me. Sorry. where basically you're just trying to grow the game. You want more people to be playing box, and box is growing in America. Obviously, it's already huge in Canada, but yeah, it's been an amazing thing. And we have the first unboxed series match coming up in February between the Toronto Rock and New York Riptide. And they have their I think they're the Castor de Montreal or something like that. So it's just having those experiences, having those professional athletes in those markets, aside from just having those drills and everything like that, is just more engaging with more new fans, and it's really cool to see how that came about, and also making sure that they picked markets that they really think can bear fruit.
Do you see expansion coming up for the National Lacrosse League in the next 2 to 3 years? And do you feel Montreal would be a good candidate?
Oh, 100% Montreal would be an amazing candidate. It is the birthplace, so to speak, of the modern version of lacrosse. They've had an NLL team in the past, which a lot of NLL coaches have played on. In fact, the coaches, a few of the coaches that are participating in the Unbox Series match, guys like Jason Crosby, Mike Hazen, and others, they were part in one way or another of the Montreal Express when they were there. So it's a great market in general. I love the city of Montreal. I think it's one of the best cities that I've traveled to. It's so much fun, so much culture, but with the ties to box lacrosse and lacrosse in general, I think it'd be amazing. Well, some people would say, well, why not expand it to a different region where that already isn't, overloaded with teams? Obviously, going down then from Halifax, you'd have Montreal, you've got Toronto, you got Buffalo, Rochester, all that. But it's a great market, and I think it would be very successful. We'll have to see how this game is not necessarily it's not being played in Montreal. It's being played in Laval, which is right outside Montreal. So we'll see if in that kind of smaller extended market, if that really works for the team, and if a lot of people come out. But I think it'd be great, and also it'd just be nice to have 16 teams, especially with this unified standings. You've got an even number, then half the teams make the playoffs. It would just be nice to have that. So I would love to see one more team be in the NLL, and I think that Montreal would be a top candidate.
I personally would like to see Detroit get a team again as well. I know they had a team there in the 90s. They do have the arena, and I think Detroit's a great sports city. Adam, I'll save that for the next time you come on my show about expansion across the league. I have one more question I wanted to ask you, because I want to get you out of here so you can get your other show on. Thoughts on this weekend's games quickly between the Georgia Swarm and the Buffalo Bandits, and what's another game or two that you're looking forward to seeing, and obviously the TSN game of the week?
Yeah, so I think that game, Buffalo and Georgia, is going to be a very interesting one. We talk about the Buffalo Bandits defense, which looked really good against a very potent San Diego team, especially in that second half. Can that keep going? When you look at some of the injuries and some of the people that are out already, the Sweetings, Bomberries, Justin Robinson, and then, it's been a big loss to not have Max Adler at the faceoff.
Absolutely.
Max is such a good guy, and I know that he would love to be playing with the team, and I know that there's some stuff surrounding that. I'm planning on covering that in a piece very shortly, but I know that he would love to be out there with the team and being out there with the Bandits. He loves box lacrosse. He loves playing with his team. But yeah, having all those guys out against a Georgia team that looks like a very potent, deep offense, and they showed it against the Colorado Mammoth. Even the second time against Dylan Ward, who, when you talk about the best goaltenders in the league, a guy, when we talk about Matt Vince, Dylan Ward's right up there. So, the Bandits defense has to be on high alert again, just like they were against San Diego. They have to be going, because, if you've got, Andrew Q, Shane Jackson, Lyle Thompson, guys like that, scoring and facilitating, then you got some of the other guys like Seth Oakes or Brendan Bomberry, adding as well. That can be really dangerous to deal with. But I think that, like I said in the very beginning, I think Buffalo is ready. They learned a lot about what they need to do to win games after that loss to Albany, and they're going to refuse to lose for the rest of the season. Obviously, they probably will have more losses, but I think that really put them on high alert, more so than their loss to Albany the year prior. And I expect high things from them. And then if you look around the league, I mean, it's so exciting. There's so many games this weekend. You got 7 games. You got 3 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. It would be amazing to see Albany move to 4-0. But Saskatchewan, they had a huge win against Las Vegas. And I know some people will say, well, it was Las Vegas. They're a team that's still trying to find their way. But they, to score 17 goals and only allow 5 against any team in the National Lacrosse League is incredibly impressive. And with Saskatchewan being at home, what happens? So can that happen? And, can Rochester, and I know that they're 3-0, but can they pull off an upset against San Diego in San Diego? Trevor Baptiste has been incredible for them at the Face-Off X, and I think that they're one of the most complete teams. But again, their offense, you got Westberg, Dean Dobie, Curtis Dixon. These guys are just the most elite talents in the National Lacrosse League. So very exciting to see that game. And I think when we look at Halifax and Philadelphia, Halifax looks amazing. And there was so much high hopes for Philly prior to the injuries to Blaze Reardon and Holden Cattoni. And they have other weapons, of course. Mitch Jones, an MVP caliber player. Joe Rezateritz, also an MVP caliber player. But, we talk about depth, not having those 2 key players in Cattoni and Reardon is really, really difficult. And I think that's what we've seen when they've been out. So I hope that those guys recover. I don't want to say quickly, because you want them to heal properly, but they need those guys back in the lineup. But it does give a lot of the Wings young players a chance to shine and get these opportunities that they might not have otherwise gotten. So I think that's great for them. And I just hope that this Wings losing skid doesn't draw out too long, because obviously it can be very tough. We talked about the unified standings, to make a rebound if you fall 2 back in the standings.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, is it possible to get Preston's picks for even 1 or 2 games? And where can my audience follow you on social media and the National Lacrosse League's website?
Of course. Yeah. So unfortunately with the Preston's picks, they'll be out later tonight.
Okay.
We do have a method of how we do it, laying it out and then having him point to the team that he wants to do. But that will be out tonight, so check that out. And it's always posted on my Twitter at Adam Levy NLL. And this season, I'm doing something really cool where I wanted fans to engage with it more. So if you go to Office Pool Junkie and search for Preston's Picks, you can actually compete against Preston every week and compete for prizes. And so people have been winning really cool signed balls. I just sent out to last week's winner, Jake Elliott, the play-by-play announcer that everyone knows and loves so much. I just sent him a signed Buffalo Bandits pennant that he won last week. So you can win weekly prizes, but at the end of the season, whoever has the most wins will win season tickets to their team of their choice. So especially if you're a Bandits fan, where those might be harder to come by, you'll want to be competing every week, because having season tickets to that arena would be amazing. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Adam Levy NLL. If you don't already follow me, I not only post all my stories and extra quotes on there from all the pieces that I write every week, but you can also listen to the Lacrosse Matrix podcast, as you mentioned in the intro, which can be found on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. This week's episode is going to be on Riley Hutchcraft, the backup goaltender, who looks like he's now going to be the starting goaltender for the Rochester Nighthawks for the foreseeable future, with unfortunately Rylan Hartley having that what appears to be a concussion after having the ball hit him in the face last week. So stay tuned for that episode. You can also find me on NLL.com. I write articles for there, and I do those awesome power rankings, which gets people really fired up. And I cannot tell you how much I love hearing everyone's opinions. No, but in all seriousness, I think everyone has a voice and everyone has an opinion, and it's great to express it. So I do those. I also write other articles for NLL.com. I also do a couple of pieces a week for IL Indoor, which is Inside Lacrosse's box lacrosse coverage. And then I also have pieces that are posted on the National Lacrosse League Player Association's website. So you can find me a lot of places. I know that's a mouthful, but yeah, I'm everywhere all the time. I spend as much time as I can with my family. And when I'm not doing that, I don't really have any other hobbies. I just work during the NLL season. So a lot of content for the fans.
Okay. I apologize for keeping you an extra 5 minutes, but I really
No
enjoyed
worries.
talking to you, Adam. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on my 349th show today. And this show will be on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of the Georgia Swarm, or close to it. We'll air that soon as well. And hopefully we'll run into you at the KeyBank Center on January 19th. I'm going to, fingers crossed, the weather's good and I'll be able to come and see you in person as well. And it'd just be nice to meet you in person. But hey, Adam, you, John Gerkler, Pat Gregor, Brian Shanahan, everybody affiliated with this league has been so great with me. And I really appreciate you giving us some time today as well.
Of course. And Chris, if you ever need anything, you can always reach out to me. And that goes for most people. People have started reaching out to me in DMs and other ways. And so you can always do that. If I can get to you, and help you out and help teach you about the game, I'm more than happy to. We're all here to grow the game and give it coverage to the people that work so hard to make it as amazing as it is. So, Chris, thank you so much for the time, and I really appreciate what you're doing. And congratulations on ahead of time on episode 350. That's a big milestone.
Thank you so much, Adam. Wishing you and your family a happy new year. And I can't wait to check Preston's picks out. And we'll talk to you soon, pal. Have a great afternoon. Happy New Year.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's Season 7, Episode 19 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, with my guest today, Adam Levi, who is a National Lacrosse League writer, reporter, and he's also a contributing writer with Indoor Lacrosse, and he's also the host of the Lacrosse Matrix podcast. I thought since this was my last episode of 2023, I'm going to be back in 2024, guys. And my next episode will be number 350. So I'm working on more special guests and great guests like Adam Levi, who came on today as well. So I'm going to play a clip of from NBC Studios where I visited in February of 2019. And this is where I kind of sort of got a little bit of the broadcasting bug. And I want to play this little clip from the NBC studios, and it was a lot of fun doing this.
From New York City, the city that never sleeps. No, really, I haven't slept in a week. It's on the air at NBC Studios with your host, Chris Pomey, and tonight's guest, Daniel Benson. Featuring the 30 Rock and Roll Band, I'm Jeffrey W., and here's your host, Chris Pomey.
Thank you. Thanks so much for joining me on my first night as host on air at NBC Studios. Exciting, right? We are coming to you live from 30 Rockefeller Plaza, where some of my late night idols got their start. We got a terrific show for you tonight, but first say hello to the 30 Rock and Roll Band. Can you believe this, Jeffrey? From a tourist to a host of on air at NBC Studios in under 30 minutes. Wow.
Maybe I should make a run for president.
I'd probably settle for a reality show if I were you. On air has so much talent behind the scenes. Let's give it up for the crew. I'm so excited to bring out our first guest. They're starring in a new blockbuster action film being shot right here in New York. One of the best in the business. Please welcome Daniel Benson. Hello, Daniel. Great to have you here. How is New York treating you?
So, just walking around, seeing, yeah.
So the film sounds incredible. It has a huge budget and is filled with A-listers. How did you land this role?
Well, I landed this role because I started on Law and Order, and now I'm here.
It sounds like everything is really working out for you. So I hear you're doing your own stunts. What is the craziest stunt you've had to do so far?
I've actually had to go skydiving before.
Last time I did that, I woke up in New Orleans. I also heard you've been filming some noisy action scenes late at night in the Lower East Side. What's the worst complaint you've gotten?
That I'm not a good actor, and yeah.
Sounds like a typical morning at my house. Your co-star has been in the news a lot lately. How's it been working with them?
Pretty good, honestly. You know, I don't like them that much.
Well, let them know I'll send my best. I wouldn't want to get on their bad side. Daniel, we are so lucky to have you here today. What has been your favorite part of the tour?
Sitting here with you today.
My favorite part is being here with everybody and doing the tour.
But did you make it to the prop room? I snuck this and grabbed this.
I heard you had sticky fingers. Well, I'm glad you all love the tour. There's so much talent and history in this building. In fact, I realize I'm sitting at Jimmy's old desk. Can I take this thing? Can you believe we are out of time? You'll have to come back again and visit again soon. Will you do that?
Yeah, if I have time.
So good to have you here. Thanks for dropping by.
And any time for you. But next time I'd like to be on the Tonight Show.
I'd rather have better guests. I'd like to thank everyone who made On Air at NBC Studios possible today. The 30 Rock and Roll Band, and the talented Daniel Benson, and our wonderful camera operators, and of course, our crew in the control room. Thank you for visiting, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your tour at NBC Studios. I'm Chris Pame. Good night. All right, guys, that was courtesy of my YouTube channel. I thought I did okay, but I think I'm a lot more confident on air than I was 4 years ago. It was a 5-minute sketch, but it was a lot of fun at NBC Studios in New York City. And if you go to New York City, highly recommend it. And like I said, it was a lot of fun. And that's where I got a little bit of my broadcasting bug, was from that skit doing NBC Studios as well. Also, guys, the next Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph, and weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM. To be announced. I am working on more guests for next week and into the new year 2024. But I want to say thank you to everybody, all my guests, and everyone for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk in 2023. I am coming on my 350th episode next week. And also I'm heading towards 400 episodes into 2024, as well as coming on my 4th year of doing this show in March of 2023 as well. Also, guys, we have some Thursday night football. Thursday night football tonight, the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns at 8:15 kickoff. The Cleveland Browns are going for their 11th win of the season, and they're being led by Joe Flacco, a 40-year-old journeyman quarterback at the end of his career, and he's done a great job filling in for Deshaun Watson, who's out for the year. And the Browns, did you know this? The Browns and Lions, the last time these franchises both had 10-plus wins in the same season was 1957. These franchises have struggled for decades, and their fans have been long-suffering. So I am so happy for the Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lion fans. The Detroit Lions this week, Saturday night, 8:15, take on the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. And as for my Philadelphia Eagles, coming off a win against the Giants, Christmas Day, 33-25. The Birds are at home again at Lincoln Financial Field to take on the Arizona Cardinals, and they still have a chance to get the number 1 seed. If San Francisco can just lose one out of their last 2 games and the Eagles can take care of business with Arizona and the Giants, the Eagles will be the number 1 seed for the second straight year. If not, they will most likely win the NFC East and be the number 2 or number 3 seed going into the playoffs as well. Oh, also, guys, like I do for all my shows, just give me 1 second here. I have so many graphics, but Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme. I love doing this, and is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, and the heartbeat of Atlanta. And a shout out to Ryan O'Neill. And also want to do another shout out to Valet Car Wash in Guelph on Gordon Street. They detailed my 2023 Chevy Trailblazer today, and the girl's name is Sin. Sin is her name, and she did a good job detailing and cleaning out my car. And there's nothing better than having a brand new vehicle that's perfectly clean and organized. And check out Valet Car Wash on Gordon Street here in Guelph. They do well with their car washes and their detailing services as well. All right, guys, the radio website, go back to the radio station WQEE FM. Our website is wqeefm.radio12345.com if you'd like to listen to Live with CDP Sports Talk tonight at 8 p.m. as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter/X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and Live with CDP Sports Talk is now available live on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, Chris Palme on Instagram, you can watch Live with CDP there as well. And a shout out to StreamYard, who is my live stream provider, for setting that up with Instagram as well. You can also follow me on my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. All my media work and previous radio shows, etc., social media sites are on that website as well. Beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210. Tell them Chris Palme sent you, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, there is a year-end bonus there with a 2023 Silverado 1500 pickup truck, 0% financing for up to 60 months, plus a 2023 cash credit. Certain conditions apply, HST and leasing extra. More details at barrycullen.com. You can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I now post reels and clips from my podcast radio shows on there as well. I've learned how to do that. So again, check me out on TikTok at Live with CDP. I am a full-time content creator on TikTok, and it's been a great experience as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting such as yours truly, check out StreamYard.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for Podcasters, Apple Podcasters, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and tuned in. And again, at 8 o'clock on WQEE 99.1 FM. And finally, guys, you can email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpalme19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, any feedback would be greatly appreciated as well. And finally, the Detroit Pistons right now, who broke an NBA record with their 27th consecutive loss the other night against the Brooklyn Nets. The Pistons tonight are on the road to take on the hottest team in the NBA and the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics. This should be an easy win for the Celtics. I have a feeling this Pistons team is going to end this streak soon. If they don't upset Boston tonight, who might have a letdown against Detroit, I think the Pistons have a good chance of winning upsetting Boston tonight, or Saturday night they take on those 13-19 Toronto Raptors, who are kind of in a rebuild as well. But as for the Pistons, they are a complete mess, and I don't know what else to say. Check out my episode from 2 weeks ago with Greg Eno, and he's a longtime Detroit media personality and Pistons expert. And Greg came on our show and talked about the Pistons and the state of the franchise under Tom Gores, Troy Weaver, and now Monty Williams. But hopefully, fingers crossed, this Pistons losing streak ends very soon as well. And speaking of that, we have lacrosse this week as well. And we have the Buffalo Bandits back in action on Friday night, which is December 29th, 7:30 at the KeyBank Center. You can get your tickets at bandits.com, or you can check out the National Lacrosse League's website, NLL.com. Georgia 2-1, Buffalo 1-1. John Gerkler and Steve Bermel, who was on my show the other day, will have the call on the Bet 1520 in Buffalo, and that game will be also on the CW23 network in the Buffalo, New York area. And the NLL game of the week, the National Lacrosse game of the week on TSN this Saturday, December 30th at 4 p.m. Eastern, with the New York Riptide taking on the Toronto Rock at the First Ontario Center in Hamilton with John Abbott, Pat Gregor, and Ashley Docking. And that's about it. I want to say thank you again to my guest, Adam Levy, just like Marv Levy, Adam Levy, who's with the National Lacrosse League as a reporter and writer and has his own podcast show. Thank you to Adam for coming on here today, and thank you to Steve. And I want to say again, thank you to all my guests and my audience watching video and audio. And also thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet and WQEE 99.1 FM for having my show on their radio station in 2023. I'm looking forward to my 350th episode next week, and my 4th year of doing this show as well. I hope everybody has a great night. Enjoy the Thursday night game against the Jets in Cleveland. And also, too, the Rose Bowl game, I forgot to mention is this Monday, January 2nd, I believe. It'll be Michigan and Alabama from Pasadena, California. I have Michigan winning that game 34-27. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I believe Michigan will finally get their playoff win and get to that national championship game as well. So go Blue, go Michigan. Looking forward to that. And also looking forward to the Eagles-Cardinals game on Sunday. And a lot of great time of the year for the National Lacrosse League starting up, as well as the NFL heading into the postseason as well. All right, guys, I hope everyone has a great evening, great weekend, and Happy New Year. And again, thank you for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph and on WQEE 99.1 FM, weeknights at 8 p.m. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you in 2024 for another edition of Live with CDP Sports Talk.